And welcome back to the Coach's Corner, sponsored by Premier Lending. I'm Devin Dubuc.
And I'm Coach Reconnect.
And we're here, as always, to talk about success techniques in the mortgage business and what top-tier loan officers are doing right now to win in this market. And I think we left off last week, Coach. You hinted around that we've got some ideas on how some of the originators that we know have used these techniques to get, 50 million or more in volume just in the last 12 months, right? So we know some folks out there that are having crazy success. And elaborate on that. Like, what are they doing, Coach? What's the secret to the sauce?
Well, I've been listening to, a lot of people throughout the industry talk about what they're doing, the successes that they're having, and what does it take to generate business in a market where we are going up, things are improving, inventories are going up, pretty much across the country. But what are these people that have put these numbers up throughout this transition that we've been in since 2021, what are they doing? And the consensus that I got from most of the people that I've listened to over the last month or two, very successful people, is they are staying in unbelievable contact with their past closed loan database.
Yeah.
And when I say past closed loan database, I'm talking about all the borrowers on the transaction, the listing agent, the selling agent, or that referred it to them, and just even some of the title companies and the reps that they've talked to over time. And by staying in constant communication with them, which some of them it's a monthly email, it's a quarterly phone call, and these guys have figured out a way to get that stuff done, whether it's them doing it or their niece that they're paying to do it after school, or they actually go out and hire a part-time VA to make these calls for them, and they are just asking for business and creating more opportunities.
Yeah, the who, not you, right? Hey, maybe if you're already pretty successful in your business and having the time for those activities just doesn't fit in the schedule, you can farm it out. But, the one thing that we know, Coach, is if we do farm it out, we're probably going to see about 80% of the results if we got the right person in there. So if you haven't earned the right, if you're still out there trying to build your empire, right? Your legacy, and you're still putting a couple loans together a month, 2-3 loans together a month, maybe even up to 5, you should still be doing that activity yourself, because who's better to reach out to that customer than the person that they actually closed with in the first place, right? And, you may be sitting back, scratching your head going, yeah, but man, I lost contact with my people. I haven't been following up, or I don't even know how to get those people. I've switched companies, and Coach and I are going to give you some insight on, how do you reconnect with those folks? And then more importantly, right, like how do you find that data if you've left the company, So which one should we tackle first, right?
Well, I think I'm going to give them one more reason to do this. We know the tool to use to do this. But what we've seen in the last few days is we just saw, first Rocket goes out and buys Redfin and Bay Equity Mortgage. Then they go out and they buy the servicing platform for Mr. Cooper. Yeah, big bucks that they've spent. Why are they doing this? Well, they are going to try to control that
Yeah.
that entire book of business. Now, I can say two things to you. One, if you're a broker out there or a correspondent lender that brokers sometimes and you're selling a Rocket Mortgage, I think you got to think twice about that, because those guys are not going to call you up and go, "Hey, Devin, guess what? Mr. Cooper wants to refinance." They're going to send it over to Joe in the call center. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to send it to Joe over in the call center, who they're paying 32,000 a year and 5 extra basis points for every deal that closes. And those deals are not coming back, and they have the best marketing machine out there. So what can you do to counteract that? Because you don't know, your loan that you might have done 4 years ago could be at Mr. Cooper right now.
Yeah.
So now the best marketing machine in the world is going after your clients. So,
Well, it's funny you say that. I've got a neighbor who works for Mr. Cooper in the tech side of the business, and he's pretty darn good at what he does. And we were having a conversation the other day, and I was like, "So what do you guys got cooking over there?" He's like, "Man, I can't talk to you about what we're doing. But let me tell you something. I can tell you this: what they are doing is they're making sure that your borrower that you closed, who's now in their multi-billion-dollar servicing portfolio, is staying with them, and they've got the money, the resources, the technology to make it happen, and they've been perfecting this. We would say silent sleeper. We know they haven't been sleeping, but while the market hasn't been as active, we haven't seen as many closings as maybe we did in other times. These guys have been perfecting this because they know there's going to be a boom coming at some point in time, and they want your borrower, right? So how do you fix that, right? Like, so let's start with maybe how do you find it? We lost touch with our database, don't even know where to get the data anymore. And I'm going to give a shout out and a plug to our folks over at Redder, Stephen Wyans and his crew. And, those guys have built a great platform where if you've left your company and maybe you had a non-compete, non-solicitation, you couldn't talk to those customers, but it's past, time's passed, right? And you've passed over that period of time to where you can't reach out. Well, they've got a program in there, and maybe I should be giving the secret out, but you can go back to 2017 and look at every single customer that you closed on your NMLS idea. And in addition to that, it has the buy side agent, the list side agent, their contact information, and it also has a page to get over and maybe find the phone contact information and email contact information for both borrowers. So, if you're thinking, man, I lost contact, I have no way of finding it, now you do. And that's a great group of guys over there at Redder. If you don't know who they are, you should check them out. That's RETR Redder. They've even got a morning show. Coach, you and I might be on there from time to time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we don't get paid. There's no plugs here. We're just giving great resources to tools we know work. This is one that works. So if you lost the database, that's how you can get it back. Now, Coach, how do you reach back out and reacquaint yourself to the customers that you haven't been following?
It is as simple as once you have the information, if you can get it into a database and you can utilize a power dialer, and you can also set that database up to have other automatic triggers, emails, text messages, and stuff going out. You can start a campaign by picking up the phone, making the call, and that call is, "Hey Devin, how's it going? It's Rick Koenig. I took care of you on your mortgage, a year and a half or 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, or whatever it
Yeah,
was."
6 years ago.
Yeah, and guess what
How's
the
life?
response is? You know the response. The response is, "Rick, hey, how's it going?" They get this inflection in their voice, and it brings back a positive memory of the house, getting in their new house. And I even tell you, call the people that you had a bad experience with,
Hmm.
because buying a home, and by the time you're in and you're done and you're living there for a while, I kind of equate it to almost like a woman having a baby. 5 minutes after they deliver that kid, they are never having another kid again, and a year later they can't wait to have another kid.
Hmm.
The bad memories are gone, the good memories are there. So even if you had, so or you don't even remember who they are, they might remember you because you were an important part of their life. So
Yeah.
just pick the phone up and call them to get
Well,
it started.
that goes with an old saying that I always like to use: time heals all wounds, right? Time heals all wounds. And that may have been a bad experience for them. They probably forgot by that point in time. Hey, and if they didn't and they hang up the phone, well, if you've been doing this for a while, you probably got another person that you can call. And we celebrate the no's. That's one of the things that we always like to talk about is, don't get hung up on the bad reviews. If you make 30 phone calls, right, and 10 don't answer, 10 pick up and tell you how much they love working with you, and 10 tell you to kick rocks. Did you have a successful day or an unsuccessful day?
Yeah, and that might happen in those type of numbers with calling real estate agents.
Hmm.
But I guarantee you that will not happen in
With
calling
your
your
bar.
past database,
Yeah.
unless you're just horrible. And then if you're just horrible, you're probably not listening to this, and you're not out making. You're not going to
You're
make the
not,
calls
yeah, you're not
anyways.
trying to self-improve at this point in time. You just, you gave up and you're out of the business,
Yeah.
or you're not closing anything, right? And if that's the case, we hope that's not right. And we'd love to give you some techniques that you can change. We can always change. There's never too late in your career to change the way you're doing business and find a better way, right? And if you're listening to this podcast, that's probably what you're trying to do. And let's talk about that. So we call the borrower, and a big part of it is thanking them, right? It doesn't matter if it's been 6 years. Hey, I just want to say thank you. I just wanted to reach back out and connect with some of the folks that I work with in the past. Your name popped up in my database, and I was like, man, you know what? How are the Smiths, right? So how you guys been? How's the house been? Oh, you guys sold that one. Hey, no worries. Wish I could have helped you on the last one. Do you have any financial needs? And we don't want to jump right into the financial side of it, right? We want to make a little bit of small talk. We like to use a 3-minute egg timer, right? To keep the conversation short enough to have a good connection, but long enough, to where short enough to make sure that they don't think we're wasting their time, long enough to make a great connection. And even if we don't have an opportunity to really sell on that call, it's okay. We're reacquainting ourselves with that client. And at the end of it, the best way to finish that call, and Coach, you do this really well, so I'm going to let you, what's the closer, right? When we finish up, we had a great conversation, learned little Susie, is now 6 years old and going to school, right? How do we finish that call out, to make sure we had a great use of our time?
I think there's two things you have to do. One is to let them know that your plan is to check in with them from time to time, maybe even do an annual review, just to look over things with them and see how things are going.
Yeah.
And then two, you have to ask for referral business. And
Mm.
it can be as simple as, well, hey, Devin, I really enjoyed working with you guys when you built the house. And, if there's anybody else as cool as you out there, could you keep me in mind? I know I didn't get to help you on the last one, but I tell you what, I do a really great job, and I'm gonna stay in contact with you a lot better because I'd like to help your friends too. So if
Yeah.
any of them are looking to buy or refinance or sell the current home, give me a call. Maybe even just do a three-way text and introduce us,
Mm.
and I'll take care of them the same way I took care of you.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, could you do me a favor? Hey, grab your. Do you mind putting me in there? Just in case, because I know we lost connection. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm there for you, even if it's just a basic question, right? If you could put me in your phone as Devin, your mortgage guy, right, or Sharon, your mortgage gal, right? You'll always remember the word mortgage. You may forget me. As
Right?
much as I'd love you to remember me, you may not, right? So if you just type in mortgage guy and put that in, you'll always be able to get back to me. And, I want to be here for you. Literally, I want you to know, like, it doesn't matter if it's just a question about your escrow, even though you're not with us anymore. It's okay, right? I want to be here to be your advisor so that you have confidence that when you have a question that's mortgage related, you know a guy. I want to be that guy.
Yep. And I've got my contact card set up in my phone.
Mm.
I've got Rick Koenig that I can send to family and friends and stuff like that. But I've
Yep.
got Rick Koenig, the mortgage guy or Coach Rick.
I just
And
pinged you a text. Save that.
yep, I'm going to text it over, save that. That's got all my up-to-date information. And, if you ever think of a question or you're having a problem with something, call me. I can give you good
I'm
advice.
here. I'm here. Well,
Uh,
I know we're running a little short on this time on this one because we both have meetings coming up. But one of the things I want to say before we get off, because we're not done with this conversation yet, right? We talked to you about how to have the connection with the client. But if you remember on a purchase, there's two other people that are tied to that transaction, and possibly three if you have lost connection with your title company, right? And that's going to be your buy side agent and your list side agent, and then maybe that title company, even potentially an insurance partner. So, on the next call, I think we can talk a little bit about, how do you take that call from I did the outreach to connection with those other two agents, and maybe some cool tools that you can utilize to make sure those agents are people that are qualified doing business and even still in the business, to
mhm.
save you that phone call. So I think we maybe catch up on that on the next one, Coach.
That sounds great.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in as always. And, Coach and I are here to give you that insight on how to create great success patterns in your business so you can win in every single market. And, if you are loving the content, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. That's really important for us. But also, hey, if you have a question, drop it down there in the comments, and we're happy to pick up on a topic maybe that you'd love to hear us speak about. Or even more importantly, if you want to talk to Coach or I, just look down there in the description. You can get right on the calendar, and we would love to talk to you about how you can improve your business. And if you'd love to become a part of the Premier family, hey, we'd love to speak to you about that as well. So until the next time, this is the Loan Officer Success Partner Coach's Corner. I'm Devin Dubuc,
I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
and we'll catch you on the next one.